every time I get stage fright, it's not because of like the people watching me. It's like
Charm. Thank you, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Barbara Colton. I'm Vice President of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to Mainline Unitarian Church. Welcome to all those visiting with us today, and a special shout out to all those friends and members visiting with us online. We are glad you are here. For those visiting with us, please join us after the service for coffee and chatting in the fireside room across the hall. We look forward to getting to know you. We are a liberal, inclusive faith community. We come together in love to support each other as we seek spiritual growth and connection and meaning in our lives through our generosity and giving for others, bringing more compassion and justice to our world. Our worship today will be led by our senior minister, Reverend John Morehouse, our director of Lifespan Faith Development, Don Star Sarahs Borschelt, our music director, David Brown, along with a special appearance from Colin Bunderson on fiddle. Is that correct? Yes. And our worship associate today is our lovely Tina Adams. I have just a couple of quick mentions. Our annual congregational meeting will take place here after coffee hour at 11:30, and I hope you will all join us for that. And there is childcare for those who need it. Thank you. Also, we would like to mention that we really would like to get a new membership directory out. So in the atrium, there's a setup. Go see Yasara and sign in to acknowledge your consent to be part of that membership directory, and take a moment and get your picture taken for the directory. Thank you. Now, let us all join together in saying our mission statement. Together, we transform lives through love, service, and our welcoming faith. Thank you.
As we light our chalice and join to worship together today, here are some thoughts. Under the right circumstances, playing with fire is a delight. Imagine being gathered round a fire pit as the crackling flames invite us to sing, dance, and roast a marshmallow or two. Our chalice also invites us to play, although with ideas rather than marshmallows. The flame encourages us to explore who we are, who our neighbors are, and where we are on our spiritual journeys. Today, we light this chalice in the spirit of play. Let us trust the light to guide us in this hour and in the days to come, finding joy along the way. Now, please rise in body or in spirit as we sing our opening hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken.
The end is just the beginning. The end. That's right, you read it correctly. You've reached the end. And the beginning. But wait, how can a book possibly start with the end? That's ridiculous. Well, prepare to have your mind blown. Because the end isn't really the end, it's just the beginning of something else. Like this beautiful sunset. Sure seems like the end of the day, right? Not so fast. You see, when the sun goes down, it's actually just the beginning of the night. When all the snow melts at the end of winter, that just means it's the beginning of spring. If you try to go to the ends of the earth, you'll actually just keep going back to the beginning because the earth is one big circle. Although that's really hard. I don't think bicycles would work. If you blast off in a rocket ship, you'll reach the end of the sky, otherwise known as the beginning of outer space. When you count, the end of one number is just the beginning of the next number, and so on, and so on, and so on, all the way to infinity, which, by the way, never ends. Even a sign that literally says dead end isn't an end at all. It's only just the beginning of whatever lies beyond it. So when you really think about it, the end is entirely endless. The end of a disagreement with someone is just the beginning of making up. The end of a mistake is just the beginning of learning something new. The end of being sick is just the beginning of feeling better. The end of dinner is just the beginning of dessert. And if you're really well behaved, the end of dessert might just be the beginning of more dessert. So tonight, when you turn off the lights and go to bed, don't think of it as the end of anything. Just think of it as the beginning of a new tomorrow, full of possibilities. The beginning of discovering the next book, and also of your classes.
Good morning. My name is Lily Weber, and I'm privileged to introduce our Offering Outreach partner today. I serve on the board of Eastern Pennsylvania Trans Equity Project, and as I shared last week, I truly believe this matches our principles and our values. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Corinne Goodwin as our executive director, and she'll get to share some more information about our organization. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Pride. So yesterday, Lily and I and about 24 of our other volunteers were at 3 prides throughout the whole eastern part of Pennsylvania. They were prides 4, 5, and 6 out of the 26 that we're attending over the next 6 weeks. So I am one tired old lady. I know I look like I'm 35, but I'm really 64. I'm getting bombed with email and snail mail and phone calls about Medicare. It's my favorite part of my day. Everything, just if you try to call me, just going to go straight to voicemail, just so you know, because I don't know who you are and I think you're selling me Medicare. So I am the executive director and founder of Eastern Pennsylvania Trans Equity Project. We tried to come up with a longer name, but we ran out of letters for the alphabet. And our mission is to empower transgender, non-binary people and the people who love them. Because, when I transitioned, everybody around me transitioned too, right? My wife, my kid, I own my own business, the people who work for me, my business clients, one of whom fired me. True story. Another one said, oh, so I guess that means you're getting a new email address? And that was all there was to it. Perfect way to come out. So we do a bunch of different things, right? So under that mission, we really have 5 things that we really work on, and I actually wrote them down because, I get really nervous speaking, as you can tell. Usually it involves some cussing, so I'm trying to behave today. Really, 5 kind of really basic things. So first is supportive services. So we run 9 different peer-led support groups. We're actually also mentoring 3 others throughout rural parts of the state, where people can come gather together, whether in person or on Zoom or in online communities, to get mentoring, to learn from each other. And the way that we often talk about it is that you will find somebody who has been where you are and who has blazed the path for you. Just today on the radio, I was listening to NPR on the way down, and they were talking about the sit-in and Dewey's sit-in in Philadelphia in the mid-'60s. A lot of people don't know, but Philadelphia was leading the way in rights for LGBTQ people many decades ago. We also do basic needs assistance. So you can't go to work, you can't go to school if you don't have food in your belly, roof over your head, electricity to charge your smartphone, right? So this year, as of yesterday, $68,139 in direct financial assistance to people of transgender experience. And most of that money, about a third of it comes in the form of grants, about a third of it comes from significant individual donors, and about a third of it comes from crowdfunding, organizations like you all helping us out. We have empowerment programs, so these are things like college scholarships and legal name change assistance, and a new, really innovative workforce development program that we're in the process of launching right now. So that basic needs is about helping you right now, but when you get your legal name changed, it follows you for the rest of your life. And I was just looking on my phone at a photo of a young woman that we helped a couple of years ago. Her name is Jackie. For those of you who have really good eyes, you might be able to see that picture. Lovely pink hair. And I ran into Jackie yesterday at Delaware County Pride, and they are just doing so well. They've applied to college now. They've gotten a driver's license now. They're working. They would have never done any of that if they hadn't been able to get a legal name change as a young person. We do education programs, so this is my first of 4 events today, so I have this one, I have another fundraiser I'm doing after this, and then I have another educational program I'm doing after that, and then another fundraising event tonight. And then the last thing that we do is a lot of advocacy work. I spend a lot more time in Harrisburg than I really would like. And that's really what I just want to kind of finish talking about here right now. There are 9 bills in the Pennsylvania state legislature that would harm LGBTQ people immensely, and transgender people in particular. Over 570 pieces of anti-LGBTQ legislation across the nation. 535 of those bills target people like me directly. This election is critical. This election is so critical. And so one of our main advocacy efforts right now is encouraging you all to get out and vote. And it isn't just about the national election, it isn't just about president. It is about school boards, and it's about local town supervisors. It's about making sure that our state legislature is able to provide supportive legislation. There are 9 anti-LGBTQ bills in the state legislature. There are 23 that would help us. I know, because I wrote about 6 of them. I should say I helped write 6 of them, right? And we need to make sure that those move. So I just want to say thank you for hosting us today. I want to thank you all for supporting our work as we help people on the individual level, and also supporting our work as we help people on the macro level. Happy Pride. Go out there and just celebrate. Pride is about revolution, and Pride is about celebration, and Pride is about community, and you have a wonderful community here. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Corinne. And if we put it up on the screen, contributions today will be greatly appreciated and accepted. And if you're for cashless donations, they can be done via the code on the screen. So thank you so much.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Colum. I don't know in my long career if I've ever seen a standing ovation for a prelude. The claps are just going to keep coming today, friends. Let's join together in the affirmation of gratitude, which is on the screen and in the order of service. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
We share and support each other on a very personal level through our ritual we call Candles of Community. As I read each joy, concern, or sorrow submitted, a candle will be lit. Then please join me in saying, we hold you in our hearts. We light a candle of joy that has been shared with the ministerial team that is unspoken. And we hold you in our hearts. The Partner Church Committee would like to light a candle of gratitude for Mary and Steve Banks, who make and sell beautiful greeting cards. Their efforts raised over $700 to be used to aid Ukrainian refugees fleeing the war in their country, which borders Romania. For the Banks, we hold you in our hearts. Roderick Wolfson lights a candle of concern for his father, Bert Wolfson, who suffered a stroke this past week, and asks that we hold Bert in the light. Bert will be returning to his apartment but cannot see visitors. For Bert and Roderick, we hold you in our hearts. Bob Barker lights a candle of concern for his brother-in-law, Justin Barker Detweiler, whose mother died a few weeks ago after a long decline into senility. Justin is also still grieving from the death of his husband of many years, Bob's brother, just over 18 months ago. For Justin and Bob, we hold you in our hearts. Claudia and Lauren Gard would like to light a candle of grief and heartbreak to share the news that cousin Caitlin died June 5th at the age of 30 following a terrible car accident near her home in Wisconsin. Caitlin's husband, 3 children, many of family members, and countless others, including the clients she served as a county social worker, will remember the joy and optimism with which she lived and will love her always. For the Gard family and friends, we hold you in our hearts. Jansen Wendell and Elisa Wendell light a candle of concern for their daughter Lee, who is recovering from emergency back surgery to repair a ruptured disc. Lee lives in Albany, and Elisa had been with her. After months of sciatica, she will finally have relief. For Lee and her parents, we hold you in our hearts. Rebecca Polis has asked to light 2 candles today. The first for the memory of a dear family relative, Sylvia Riednor, who lost her battle with a rare neurological disease last week. The second, a candle of sorrow for Rebecca's sister Ruth, who is facing a concerning medical diagnosis. For Ruth and Rebecca and others close to them, we hold you in our hearts. Liz Blagan lights a candle of concern and hope for her husband, Kevin. He's been receiving another chemotherapy regimen, which is taking a huge toll on him. Weight loss from digestive issues, rashes as painful as shingles, mouth sores that hurt like canker sores, and degloving skin on his hands. There are 2 more rounds of therapy to go, but so far all tests show no cancer cells. So they are very optimistic that this means long-term remission or perhaps even a cure. Liz says, hope springs eternal. For Kevin and Liz, we hold you in our hearts. For those joys and concerns that are being held, some that are too deep for words, we light one more candle and hold you in our hearts.
I invite you to join with me in a spirit of prayer and meditation, to put your feet on the ground, to sit back in your chair and to square your shoulders, to fill the upper part of your body with some courage. I offer an adapted meditation from my colleague, Rebecca Coppola. Let go of the idea that you know what breathing should feel like. Just notice the breath as it moves in and out of your body. Let go of certainty. Be with the breath as it is. Allow openness. Allow curiosity. Notice the mind. Each thought that arises, allow openness. Let that thought pass. Don't judge the mind or your experience. Simply be loving in curiosity about each thought. Breathe in and breathe out. Let go of certainty. Let go of any idea about what you should be thinking. Simply accept your thoughts exactly as they are. Be with yourself as you are. Be curious about who you are. Breathing in, breathing out. Love how you are in this world, and then gently take a deep breath in, perhaps even with a big sigh. Re-enter the present moment and the stream of your life. Thank you. I wasn't at all sure what I was doing there in that cold meditation hall in upstate New York. I was tired, I was hungry, and I was young. I was a new member of a Zen center in the West Village of New York City. I'd been dragged there by my girlfriend at the time, who I think really just enjoyed listening to the young Roshi as he spoke because she had a secret crush on him. Not very Buddhist now that I think about it. I, though, had fallen in love with Buddhism. Apparently, as one hypnotist once told me, I'm very suggestible, so I have to keep an eye on that. But Buddhism, for me, something I hadn't really experienced before, felt so freeing at that moment in my life. I admired the simplicity of using the breath as the vehicle for simply releasing all the anxiety that was within me. And the concept of emptiness absolutely intrigued me and still does. The idea that all of this is just energy and movement and of no real consequence in the larger scheme of the stars. I'd heard about nirvana, which of course nirvana, the word really means to blow out, as in to extinguish a candle, but that sounded pretty good to me in my miserable 20s. All I wanted to do was let go of this mountain of worry and pain, my quarter-life crisis, as it's sometimes called. I just left the Midwest. I've told you this story before, and left a first marriage that should have probably never happened, and I'd lost my business, and I was generally adrift in a sea of self-pity. So when I wandered into this Zen center in West Greenwich Village, and I heard that one could leave behind your past and find a new beginning, well, that was all I needed. So I went to see the Roshi of that young Roshi that my girlfriend had a crush on, and he said, well, you might be a candidate for vows later, but for now I think you really need to go to a retreat. And I said, what's a retreat? He said, well, you go to this place, it's away from New York City, it's upstate. Anything north of New York City is upstate. And you go up there and, a week of silence and teaching and see how you do. And then let's talk about taking the three refuges, as they say, the refuge in the Buddha, the refuge in the Dharma, the teaching, and the refuge in the Sangha, or the community. So I went up there to do this, to sit there. And there I was in this cold meditation hall. I don't even remember where it was, in upstate New York, trying desperately to focus on my breathing, because I told that if you could simply concentrate on your breath in and your breath out, all would be well. I'd heard the talk the night before by the Roshi of the retreat center. He said, this is what's known as beginner's mind, an idea that was popular by T.D. Suzuki back in the 1960s. Free of thoughts, simply the breath. I would learn through the years, as I was desperately trying to be enlightened at that moment, that the desperation for enlightenment is yet another hurdle towards enlightenment. You can't want to want it, right? So there I was trying to meditate, and I wasn't even carrying this weight anymore, and I was trying to sit up straight. I was trying to do the breathe in and breathe out, and if you're simply used to always doing things and jumping around and pretty type A personality stuff, I was fidgeting and I'm slumping, and all of a sudden, always the Roshi was like right over my shoulder going, begin again, begin again. So what seemed like eternity, finally the meditation was over and it was time to interview with the Roshi. And I went into the room where he sat, a plain room, nothing special, and I sat on the mat before him, and he stared at me for the longest time, which is pretty freaky when you think about it. And then he finally says, why are you here? I'm here because I'm looking for enlightenment. He was silent for a longer time then, perhaps trying to figure out how to answer such an arrogant question and statement. He finally said, well, for most people, enlightenment takes a lifetime. Crestfallen, I said, really? He said, yes, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe with you can do this in a few years, no? Or wait, maybe you could do it in a year. No? Maybe you could reach enlightenment in under 7 days. What Jack Kornfield calls Buddhism's money-back guarantee. Really, I said. I was thrilled. 7 days. That's just about how long I had left in this miserable retreat. So at least I'd get something out of sitting there for all that time. And I said, great, what do I have to do? And the Roshi smiled and he said, simple. Meditate for 1 hour without any thought other than your breath in and your breath out. Do that, and you will have reached enlightenment. How hard can this be? Rang the bell. The session was over. I ran back to the meditation hall, plopped myself down on the cushion and went, okay, here we go. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, Breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Wonder what's for lunch. Nope. Breathe in, breathe out. 5, 6. I think I got it to like 12 breaths, And I was like, wonder what enlightenment will feel like. And then I figured this wasn't going to happen. After 5 minutes, I gave up on enlightenment. Not an uncommon occurrence, I understand. And those of you who are long-time meditators know exactly what I'm talking about. Monkey mind is very hard to quiet. This idea of Pure Land Buddhism, that you can somehow calm the mind to the point of where you're not trapped in all the cycles of fear and want and the ideas that come with wave after wave of bad news, which we seem to get in increasing, almost exponential quantities these days. Well, it's pretty tough then to just think that I can breathe in and I can breathe out and I can let go of all that bad news, especially when you want to do something about it. You don't want to just breathe in and breathe out. You do that all on your own, right? But somehow there is in here a way to free ourselves from being entrapped by the power of breathing in and breathing out. Beginner's mind is a mind of curiosity which names what we feel rather than thinking about what we feel. It names what we feel without thinking about what we feel. What that says is that you let the feeling, you let the thought come through, you welcome the thought, and then you move on from the thought. We get trapped when we start to think about how we're feeling as if it were some sort of destiny in our lives. But thought is not destiny. Thought is not destiny no more than wanting can be a destiny, or our past is a destiny. And we all have different kinds of minds. I've had every one of these, what Suzuki called doubter's mind. You know doubter's mind? Oh, I don't think I can do that. No, I'm certain I can't do that. Every Sunday, actually, you don't know this, but my beloved does. Every Sunday that I get out of bed in the morning and go, oh God, it's Sunday. And I've got to stand in front of all these people and I've got to say something. I can't do it. No, I do. Almost every Sunday, not often. It happened today for sure. I was like, I can't do this. But who do I think I am? And then you get up there because you don't have any choice, because that's the job, right? Musicians know this. That's their job. Doesn't matter how you feel. Surgeons know this. You can have a fight with your beloved and it's time for surgery and you can't think about the fight. You got to think about surgery, or you got to. So the doubter's mind is always trying to understand what's wrong, right? Or there's wanter's mind, wanting mind. Do you know wanting mind? Wanting mind is, I want something else, right? I want money. I want maybe a better relationship. I want a different job. I want a different body. Everybody wants a different body. I don't know many people that like their body. As a matter of fact, I can't remember anybody who really likes their body. Or I want this, or I want that. Wanting mind can hold you as well. Or there's fearful mind, which is, I think, one of the worst. Fearful mind is, the world is ending, or at least my world is ending, and what am I going to do about that? Every ache and pain reminds us that we are sentient mortal beings, and we shall pass from this earth. In fact, this earth shall pass from this solar system, and indeed, perhaps the universe shall pass in time too. All of that is on something other than the moment. And all of it requires for the antidote to begin again and again, reminding ourselves that the present is the only moment we have. It is truly a gift. These states of mind keep us trapped. Beginner's mind, beginning again and again, is a renewal of spirit from one moment to the next. And by the way, it's the hope that most diets are based on, if you think about it. I can always begin again, which is also an excuse for eating the wrong thing the night before, but you can begin again and again. Jack Kornfield puts it this way. He says, the wisdom of uncertainty frees us from what Buddhist psychology calls the thicket of views and oppressions. Seeing misery in those who cling to views a wise person should not adopt any. Freedom, he said, is from views like the cleaning of the glass, a breath of fresh air. And he said, listen to Rachel Carson, the great naturalist, when she said, a child's world is fresh and new and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement. And it's our misfortune that for most of us, we lose that clear-eyed vision. Studies have been done, my friends, studies have been done that the lack of curiosity and wonder starts in the first grade. What would it take to get back to that beginner's mind? When we are free from views, then we are willing to learn something new. A lot of what stops us in doing things differently is what we thought we knew. But in fact, sometimes we have no idea what we're talking about. As I get older and longer in ministry, I realize I have less and less that I really know. Which is why I listen to you more than I talk these days. Each time the students answer something to the effect that, I don't know, that is the best statement, said Cornfield. It keeps us beginning again. Can we keep an I don't know mind? I don't know. Some of you have been asking me, and as we go closer and closer to November, what's going to happen in the election? What if Biden doesn't win? I mean, we were wrong about 2016. I can remember sitting down with parishioners saying, oh, ridiculous, not going to happen. We were wrong. But what we're really saying there is that we're fearful of what might happen, as if it's a symbol for all that we're fearful in our life. I remind you again and again, the news you get from major media is not the whole news of the world. There is much that is good. The fight for trans rights is good, and we are doing this good work. I remember a story that I've been told is true about a mother whose son was shot by another boy about the same age, I think 15 years old. The boy who shot her son was being challenged as part of a gang initiation. They caught the young killer. Her son died, but they caught the young killer, and he was prosecuted in court. And last, before he was taken away to prison, to juvenile detention, the mother who lost her son leaned in and said, I'm going to kill you. And the boy went off to a 3 or 4 year sentence. He had no family. He was basically homeless on the street. The gang was all he really knew. And strangely, one day, the mother of the boy he killed shows up for visitation. He doesn't really know what to say. And she doesn't really say anything to him. She just looks at him, and then she gives him a bag of candy. And then she visits every week and gives him a little something more, and then they start talking a little bit about the prison life and where he's going to go when he gets out. And towards the end of his incarceration, she says, listen, you're going to need a job. Let me see if I can find you a job. And she finds him a job, and when he gets out, he has a job, but then she comes to him as soon on the day he gets out, and she says, where are you going to stay? He says, I don't have any place to stay. You come stay with me, she says. You stay in my house. So they sat, the boy went and lived there with her, and they didn't talk about the killing at all. They just tried to carry on a life. And after a few months, the woman sits the boy down and she says, do you remember the time I told you when you were being sentenced, I told you I would kill you? And the boy says, yes, ma'am, I remember. And she says, I did see the death of that boy. The boy that killed my son is not sitting across from me now. That boy is dead. You have begun to be something new. You have become a man. And I have no one else in my life, and if you would like, I could adopt you, and we could begin again. Friends, we're at the end of our first year of ministry together, right? Where did the time go? So much has changed. We are bigger and stronger now than we have been before, and yet there are many issues which we are still dealing with that need to be dealt with. We have some new programmings and some fabulous staff, which I'll talk about in the annual meeting for a moment, but we still have a problem with engagement and getting a number of people to get on board and be involved. So what I'm going to tell you now is what I want you to carry with you over the summer. We're going to need to begin again in the fall with new energy, yet more energy. We're going to continue this journey into the liminal, to what we don't always know. Indeed, I often think of those lines from T.S. Eliot, a great Unitarian, by the way, T.S. Eliot, when he said, "We shall not cease from exploration, and at the end of all of our exploring will be arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." But the rest of the poem is equally powerful. He said, "Be at that still point of the turning world, neither flesh nor fleshless, neither from nor towards. Be at the still point, there is the dance. Be neither arrest nor movement, and do not call it fixity. Where past and future are gathered is present. We are neither ascent or decline, except for the moment we are there. It is present, the still point, for that is the dance, that is the only dance. And I can only say, there we have been, but cannot say where. I cannot say how long, for that is the place that is in time, this inner freedom from practical desire, this release from action and suffering, release from the outer compulsion, yet surrounded by the grace of sense, a white light still moving, burning, without emotion, concentration, without elimination, but born of a word, the old made explicit and understood in the present, the resolution, the enchantment of past and future woven in the weakness of a changing body which protects us from heaven and damnation. What flesh cannot endure, time past and time future, allows in the moment of consciousness in the present still point. Be that moment," he said. Because when doubting mind comes to roost, and it always comes to roost, remember that the renewal that we have is already within us. We already have that power. This is true for us as a congregation and as each of us individually, each in our own ways. And I know our stories are full of hurt and hope and struggle. The Buddha taught that beginner's mind is not just being mindful of pain and worry and suffering, it's moving beyond that to the present moment, the still point, as Eliot said. It's to say to things such as fear, "There you are, my old friend, fear, have a seat. We will go on." By knowing and naming our thoughts and not holding them as if they are our only reality, we free ourselves to the reality that's actually already around us. It's in this room right now, this reality. All of you here in this reality, the music, the meditations, the camaraderie, the love that I feel pulsating between you, that I see in the halls. One of the happiest moments of my week is when I walk from my office to here and I see you all, and I'm like, wow, this is what it's all about. Soon thereafter, I left the monastery, that retreat, and after that, I left organized Buddhism. I still embrace Buddhism for the most part, most of my days. And I try to remind myself that the present moment is all we really have, which of course is fleeting in and of itself, right? I brace ourselves for the days ahead when we will weather what is coming together as a community, that you are never alone here. And I want to close with yet more words from T.S. Eliot. Desire itself is movement. Not in itself desirable, love is itself unmoving. Only the cause and the end of movement, timeless and undesiring, except in that aspect of time caught in the form of limitation between unbeing and being, in that sudden shaft of sunlight, even as the dust moves through it. There rises in us a hidden laughter we did not know was there. Quick now and always, let us be like the children on the lawn, stretching before and after, and living in the laughter of the now. We begin again, my friends. We begin again. And amen. And I can never remember the hymn. What is it? That's the hymn. Please rise in body or spirit. As we come to the end of this service, as we depart from our time together, friends, let us be buoyed by the spirit of life that is living among us here, the living Spirit. Delighted by the warmth of our gathering, remembering always that we are renewed in soul and mind because we are together. And as we extinguish the flame of our chalice, may its lingering spark be carried in our hearts until we are together again. For now the service truly begins. Please remain seated for the postlude.